You guys having a wonderful afternoon. Okay, so this is what happens when, if you have too much time on your hand. And we are doing some silly stuff. So we are going to have some fun stuff here. We're going to do some fun experiment. I have two different types of coffee beans. I got both from Group Brothers Coffee. So this is one of my favorite coffee of the year. Okay, I'm talking about coffee of the year so far. 720 geisha, which means 720 hours of the fermentation process. I bring out this wonderful, wonderful tasting notes. Cherry, we have hard candy, and pear cider. Okay, and I'm going to blend it with. It's called Bricks Breaker from Brent. It's gonna be. Put my glasses on here. It's gonna be juicy. Malek cherry and grape. So this coffee is not as kind of like vibrant as this coffee or the 720. I mean, this thing is really, really fantastic. So I'm going to blend it. I'm going to be blending 50-50. So 6 grams of geisha, and then I'm going to blend it with the 6 gram of Bricks Breaker. Yeah. Okay, so here's fun part. Here's fun part. And then I'm going to be added another. So I'm going to be blend 6 grams of the geisha. So geisha, I'm going to be using the Caspers from my DF64. And then my Bricks Breaker, I'm going to be using my EK43. So not only we are going to blend we are going to blend the coffee, and also we are going to mix the coffee grinder as well. I know this is silly, but you know what? Why not, right? Why not have some fun? By the way, so this is 6 grams. Look at the size of the beans. I'm going to give you guys a close-up on the coffee beans, but man, that thing is huge. All right, so here we go. Again, today is a fun day, Friday. Okay, we are having some fun this afternoon. We're going to be using the tricklet as well. So look at the size of the beans, folks. I'm going to take one here. So this is a geisha. Look at the size difference. So that is a Bricks Breaker. So that is the geisha. So these beans are just huge, humongous. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind some coffee beans. Meantime, I'm going to start my water as well. I'm going to set at, let's see here, maybe like 96 Celsius. I'm going to start with EK43 using the Bricks Breaker. So we have the Bricks Breaker ready to go. Let's grind the geisha using the DF64. But this one has a Casper. So water is ready. This paper goes in there. Man, this smells amazing, guys. This smells amazing for this geisha here. Absolutely amazing. All right. I'm going to heat up my paper first. Okay. Again, if you're the tasting note alone, it's going to be like fruit bombs there, fruit bombs. All right, here we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put bricks breaker on the bottom. So, it's about 7 gram there, 6.8 gram. And they put the geisha on the top. So total of 12.4 gram. And at this point, I'm just gonna quick, WDT here. I'm just gonna go spread nice even, okay. I got 12.4 gram. I'm going to be doing 1:20 ratio. So around 240 gram as the output. I'm going to add 240 grams of water. Just for fun, I'm planning on doing the mellow drip start with, okay. I'm going to be doing, start with the 40 grams of water first. $40 of water, 42 grams of water. I'm going to wait about 40 seconds. Just going to quick swerve. That's it. I'm going to add the top on the. I'm going to be adding 180 grams of water. So blooming phase is almost done. Put 180. That's it. At this time, we're just gonna wait, okay? Wait for the coffee is brew. Extraction time between 5 and 6 minutes. That is the goal. And let's see here. Okay, so again, not only we are blending 2 coffee, and also I just use a two separate grinder as well. So you know what? So one is the EK43 comes with the SSP, the pre 2015 EK burst from SSP, and then DF64 is the cast burst, the SSP cast. So it's gonna be interesting. Okay, because the geisha has an extremely strong tasting notes, very vibrant, and bricks breaker, they're good, but it's not as okay. So there's degree, okay, there's degree of kind of like tasting note there. I'm gonna shout out to friends at live chat. We got Justin, we got Jonathan, Linda, we got Jami. Okay, who else? And then we have what? Elon Musk is on as well. Man, we have Elon Musk. Okay, we have Elon Musk on our live chat. All right. Goodness, we are at about 3-minute mark there. Some reason, I don't know what's going on with my grinders though. I mean, that is a pretty fine grinder setting. Okay, it's 1 on EK. And then my Caspers, I set at 40, number 40. My 0 point, since this is SSP, my 0 point for my cast starts at 25. Okay, 25. So, I mean, this is pretty fine setting. And some reason, my drawdown time about 4 minutes. okay. I like to be around 5 minutes, but we're at 4, all right? I mean, again, so this is a little fast. So it's about 4 minutes. Very interesting, okay? Because I did a separate test earlier. So it wasn't blend coffee, okay? I was using just single coffee, no blending. It's about 5 minutes, but yeah, for this one, it's about 4 minutes. I'm just gonna make a note of that for blending. So let's give it a try. Okay. Let's give it a try. This coffee here. Okay, let's smell. Let's do some. Man, I can definitely smell the hard candy, cherry. Cheers, guys. Definitely cherry. You know what? Blending is not a good idea. Yeah. I mean, I can still taste the hard candy, cherry, but it's kind of like this coffee, bring it down, okay? It's not enhance it. So if you're thinking about blending it, I recommend not, okay? Yeah. It's sweet, it's great, but by itself, okay, this one really shines. So I blend with this somewhat muted. I'm trying to blend it. Again, hopefully bring out the best. Yeah, it's good. I'm not complaining about this coffee, but this one has so much potential. Let's put it that way, okay? See, this one has a lot of potential. I mean, it's kind of like far little short there. Yeah. But still has a lot of fragrance, hard candy, very clean finish. It's pretty nice, but yeah. Anyway, not the best. But it's good, but I prefer the geisha by itself. Okay, geisha by itself. If you have a Scarlet Town media say, "I told you." Okay, I told you. Yes, you are correct, Justin. Anyway, we have a par from Santa Rosa. I think Santa Rosa, I believe, is in California. I think you got the Paul. Shout out to Paul. You got rain as well. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a great afternoon. Anyway, you know what? Again, have fun with your coffee. There's no set rules comes to making coffee there, all right? And just have some fun. There's no rules. I mean, if you want to blend it, blend it. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But it's your coffee. Don't anybody tell you what to do with your coffee. Don't tell anybody, tell you what to do, because I mean, you are the one enjoying the coffee. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. I'm gonna see you guys next time.
In the last video, we looked at sourcing coffee beans. In this video, we're looking at blending and roasting. Right from the start, we at Green Bean decided to sell nothing else, only gourmet catering coffee. To this end, we like to roast first and then blend. The reason we do this is because every coffee from every origin needs to be treated slightly differently in the roaster. What I mean by this is that every coffee will need a different temperature and or a different time to bring out its proper attributes. Many people think that sourcing single origins is the best way to make coffee. By single origins, I mean sourcing from a particular farm. My belief is that making great coffee requires blending. The reason I say this is because a good single origin might have an attribute such as aroma. Another one might have good body. Another one might have good acidity. But it's very, very rare to get a single origin that has all the attributes that we want in the one coffee. A quality blender will be able to get better results from blending various single origins than from using one single origin. By tasting each batch, an expert blender will be able to note the different characteristics of the coffees and know how to blend them together to get the very best result. As a roaster, I take a sample from every batch on roasting day. I put every coffee through the same machine that you get in a coffee shop. What I taste is exactly the same as the way your customer will taste. When I'm tasting a coffee through the espresso machine, I'm looking at the colour and consistency of the pour. I'm looking at the colour of the crema. Tasting it without milk as an espresso, and I'm tasting it with milk, as both of them are completely different tastes. The reason I taste with milk is that a coffee blend will taste completely different black as against with milk. I take notes on the taste profile that I want from the coffee, and I keep these records for future reference, and I have done this past 27 years. This ensures that I get a uniform presentation to give to the customer. Many roasters will roast the same coffee for black coffee and milky coffees, and by that I mean Americanos, espressos as against cappuccinos and lattes. You're getting a completely different taste in both instances. To serve the best coffees in your shop, the top tip for this week is to use different blends for every application. Next time we will look at the importance of water.
Making coffee blends is one of the huge joys of learning about good quality coffee, whether you're picking up single origin beans to combine or whether you're home roasting or as part of a coffee business. Now, this method was taught to me at a cafe seminar here in Tokyo, and I'm really excited to share with you a solid process for mixing your own coffee blends at home. Let's get into it. So let's start off with sourcing good coffee beans. Now, I get all of my green coffee beans from an importer here in Tokyo, but wherever you get your green beans from, make sure that you find good information on the farm, moisture content, density, and elevation that the coffee was grown at. These things are really hard to test for at home, and the tools to do so are very expensive. Some importers or roasters will have very specific flavors listed as things that you can expect to find in that coffee, but I always take this with a pinch of salt because a lot of them exaggerate their claims a little bit for marketing purposes. You can make a blend with any coffee beans, and they don't even have to come from different countries. Actually, in my video about cafes in Shibuya, the guys at Camelback told me that their blend had 2 different Brazilian beans in it to create a rich and sweet base, so it's good to experiment with off-the-wall ideas. So first, I roast at least 2 and a maximum of 5 different coffee beans to a medium roast at about the level I like, which is just past the first crack. I'll get enough cups lined up and extract each of these coffees individually and put them side by side. You can do this with French press, pour over, or Chemex, whatever your normal extraction method is. Then the fun part starts. I try each of the coffees individually, and I use my cupping chart, which you can find on my website for free, to check the taste and keep a record. So then I'm thinking about how can I combine these flavors to make an interesting blend. For example, the Brazilian one has a really chocolatey, rich flavor, and the Ethiopian one is more earthy and fruity. So I think maybe if I combine them together, I'll get that nice chocolatey flavor from the Brazilian and that blueberry sort of flavor from the Ethiopian. So I'm going to put them in a mix of about 50-50 and see how the taste is. So for this one, the mix isn't working as well as I'd hoped. I'm getting a little bit too much acidity from the Ethiopian, and then not enough of that sweetness and body from the Brazilian. So I'm going to readjust these to an 8:2 ratio and try again. Oh, that's much better. Okay, so this was much, much better. And so I'm going to take some of those roasted coffee beans and mix them together in an 8:2 ratio for the final blend. I'll talk a little bit more later about an alternative way for doing this when you're roasting. Before you roast, you can mix the green beans together. But for now, let's move on to espresso blends. A lot of my favorite espresso blends have 3 or more different coffee beans. It's a little harder to find a good balance because the more different kinds of beans you mix together, the more difficult it is to find that good balance. I recommend never going below about 10% for any one origin of coffee, as below this point you're unlikely to taste anything in particular. There are of course some templates that people use to decide which beans and flavors to put together so they aren't starting from scratch every time. I can't say this strongly enough, but these are guidelines, not rules. You should definitely go with what flavors excite you and blend in an interesting way. You might just discover a delicious blend of coffee that you can really enjoy that surprises you. The most common template I see for espresso is usually a combination of 3 different notes. There's a bass, a mid-tone, and a high note. So the bass is usually a mellower, sweet kind of coffee. So you might expect something like a Brazilian, a Mexican, or a Colombian coffee that's roasted at large scale. Now these are really tasty coffees, but usually nothing too out of the ordinary. Then you have the mid-tones. The mid-tones will be something that is a little bit stronger in flavor, something a little bit more unique, as it's going to provide most of the flavor of the coffee and usually is the largest proportion of your blend. That'll be something like a Costa Rican or a Guatemalan coffee that tastes like stone fruits. Then the high notes come, and that's going to be something that's maybe a little bit more acidic, a sharper or more unique flavor, like an Ethiopian coffee that tastes like blueberries. This will provide some really interesting flavor without overpowering an espresso with high acidity. Usually I'll first try new espresso blends in a 20-60-20 ratio, with the mid-tone being the highest proportion of the blend and the bass and high tones being smaller parts. Of course, you are going to change this once you've tried the mix, but this is usually a good place to start. I'm trying to get a nice blend of 3 coffees I have here, a Brazilian, a Costa Rican, and an Ethiopian coffee. The Brazilian is the base chocolatey note, Costa Rican for that tasty honey mid-tone, and the Ethiopian for that sharp blueberry high note. It's a nice coffee, but I feel like I can do more with this. So if you're tasting some of the flavors that you want, now is the time to adjust and try to pull out more of the flavors that you want and reduce the ones that you don't. I'm going to adjust this and get more of that base note from the Brazilian and reduce the Costa Rican, which has kind of an overpowering flavor that reduces the ability to taste the other 2 coffees. So I'll keep the Ethiopian in that 20% range because I am getting a little bit of that nice sharpness and fruity flavor, and I'll just get the Costa Rican and Brazilian into equal balance at about 40% each. That's so much better than last time. So I think this is a pretty good espresso blend. I'm going to keep it at this ratio. I might play around with this a little bit more at another time, but for now I'll put the coffee beans in the right ratio together. Make sure that when you put them in the jar, you swirl that jar around and mix up those coffee beans so you don't end up with one of the flavors being more pronounced because it's on top. If you want to roast your coffee beans together, you should put the green beans mix together in a container for at least a day or 2 so the moisture levels in the beans can equalize a bit more. This will help you to get a more even roast with beans that come from different places and are likely to have different densities and moisture content. It's not going to be as even as if you carefully roasted 3 coffees to the same level, but it is easier to prepare, reduces the amount of time you spend roasting, and the amount of coffee you need to roast. This is especially helpful on some home roasting setups that don't have as much capacity, take longer to roast coffee, and are more inconsistent than a drum roaster in a proper roastery. So that's how I roast and blend my coffee at home. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like as this helps me to reach more people with my channel, and let me know in the comments below what was the best blend you ever tasted. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. How's that? I need to be a little bit higher, or I could drop the camera a little bit lower. Much better. I'm going to adjust this and get a little bit more flavor from the base Brazilian coffee and reduce the Costa Rican? That's not a word. What's the light? The reflection on my lenses. That's not good. So don't look left. Right's okay. Left is like anime. Swing, 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 swing. Wow, that's actually perfectly precise. Well done, Charles.
Hi there. In this video, Blender Babes is going to show you how to grind coffee beans. Now, if you want more tips on using your blender, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to use your blender to live healthier, be sure to subscribe using the link below. Now, one thing to keep in mind with grinding coffee beans, that there's a lot of different levels of fineness. So you want it really, really fine for, your coffee machine, and you want it a little bit more coarse for, let's say, a French press. So just be sure to use the method to your degree of fineness. All right, let's get started.